Welcome back to the garden. Today is a very special day because it's now time for my October garden tour. I wanted to start this garden tour with a very special plant. I am so excited to show you this one. When it comes to October, nothing in the entire garden beats Rudbeckia for me. These gorgeous yellow daisy-like plants, and this is a variety called Rudbeckia fulgida deamii, and it really is a favourite of ours. We've been growing it for many years. We used to grow this in our cottage garden in Sheffield, and as you can see, it just is the star of the show. It's cheery. It just reminds you of those bright summer days. At the same time, well, I should say incidentally, it's a very sunny day today, and there's a lot of strength still in that sunshine. It's October, but there's still a lot of strength in the sun. I love this one. I would recommend this to people because it is such a reliable plant. Now, as I say, we've been growing it for many years. I think the best time of year for it obviously is now October. Not only that, it has other benefits. During the winter, if you leave the flower heads on, so the spent flower heads, leave them on, and you will find, if you come a little closer, you can see what's happening already with this spent flower. We've got these lovely black seed pods, okay? And they will look great during the winter. So basically, leave them on over the winter. You get a frosty night, frosty morning, and just come out into the garden or look out into the garden, and these look amazing. So they're beautiful when they're in flower now, but also just as beautiful to myself in winter time as well, when there's not much going on, and you know, it's a little bit depressing at times. You look out and it's another grey day and cold, and there's not much really that can be done. You look out, you see the beauty, and you just love it. These are really great flowers for the late pollinators. Also during the winter, as I say, they just look magnificent, but it's so good to see this now here. I think we should have more of it in the garden. We might try and grow more next year because it's just something that I look forward to every year. Every October, you just know it's going to steal the show. And it's one of those situations where I like to come out in the garden and just spend time just having a really good look at this. Lots of pollinators around as well. I've noticed there's a butterfly on the fence yesterday. So there's lots going on, and these are beneficial for pollinators. I'm looking around with there's so much going on. Our Persicaria, so Persicaria plexicalis, this one's a variety called Firetail. You probably heard me mention that many times. But this is still flowering its head off. Absolutely gorgeous. Yes, some of the flowers are becoming spent, okay, but that's no worry at all whatsoever because it just still looks great. It's still providing lots of pollen, and it really, lots of nectar treats for the pollinators, and it just looks fantastic. I love the height of it. This is a real beast. There's lots of different Persicarias. There's Persicaria, a smaller variety is Persicaria. There's a variety called Superba, and it's quite low growing. We've got that over the other side of the garden. I'll show you that in a bit. But this is my favourite because I tend to like the tallies, and this one is tall. I like it. Lots going on over here with the Lichnis coronaria. Lichnis coronaria was one that my mum and dad used to have in the garden when I was little, and it was one of the plants that I did used to put into pots and sell to people in the backs. Our geranium Roseanne doing absolutely magnificently, still flowering. Roseanne is a sterile variety, very beautiful saucer shaped flowers, and it just keeps flowering throughout the year. Obviously you don't need to do very much with it. Sometimes I give it a bit of a tidy up, but you can just leave it. These Stachys here, this is a variety called Humolo. I'm loving these tiny little holes that run through that insects can just crawl into and enjoy those spaces. As I say, I say this in a lot of videos, we leave the seed heads on, we leave everything on throughout the autumn and winter, and then cut back in spring. It just gives overwintering insects a chance to find somewhere to hide during the cold winter months. Now, Aster Little Carlow, one of our favourites, certainly one of my favourites. Very tiny flowers, but the thing is with Little Carlow, it's not little. Usually it gets much taller than this and spreads much further. We did have to move it because it was being obliterated by the slugs, and although it looks as though it grew nicely in the border, if you take a look closely, you will find it's in a huge pot. So it's actually been placed in the border. So once there was no danger of the slugs and snails obliterating it, it was placed in the border lovingly. And that's a wonderful thing about gardening. If you've got spaces in the garden and you're growing other things in pots, you can then bring those pots over, place them strategically in certain places in the garden, and it just looks seamless, like the Aster has always been there. The Calamagrostis Carl Forster, which is a wonderful grass. You see the seeds flowing away then, look at that, wow. We love this grass. This was moved during the early summer, if I remember correctly, slightly forward, and it's looking great. It will be fine next year. It did struggle a bit after being moved, but it's going to. But it looks really nice. It's a very tall grass, as you can see. And if you've not grown Calamagrostis before, I do recommend this one because it's so lovely. It's tall, it's airy, and just look at those feather-like plumes. They are beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. I love them. They're so tall, it's so slender. It's such a lovely plant, it really is. Our Eupatorium, amazing. It's finally way above the fence. This one was having problems with the slugs this year as well. We've had a terrible time with the slugs, but then again, it's because of the wet spring that we had. We had a terrible spring. It seemed to be raining every single day and into early summer. And obviously you are going to get more slugs and snails. So Paul was constantly going to the field, putting the slugs and snails in a bucket, taking them to the field, releasing them onto the field so they can go and eat whatever they want on there. Whereas now, with time, this has grown back. I love Eupatorium. You can't beat it. And look at the height on that. This could incidentally grow into a nice, big, huge clump and could potentially reach much higher, really, than its current height. It's a really beautiful plant. I absolutely adore it. Geranium. Now this one is Mrs. Kendall Clark. We did give this a little bit of a trim early on. After it had finished flowering. It only flowers once. We'll just give it a tidy up really. But it's just lovely to have the foliage there still. We're in autumn. Foliage is still there. We've not got big gaps in the border. It's easy sometimes to think, oh, something's finished, you know, just cut it back. If it's not going to flower again, just give it a tidy up. You don't have to cut things back constantly. Now this is a geranium that you can do. You can constantly cut back if you want to. And I'm surprised that's not had, oh, it has had a few flowers on. Look, they've just gone over and a few more flowers waiting to come out. It's the pink variety that we've had. It's been in this garden for many years. We used to have this in Sheffield and we just cut it, and it's like that cut and come again lettuce. We cut it back as soon as it's finished flowering or the foliage starts to look tired, and it just grows back, flowers again repeatedly. Then it finishes, we cut it back again. It's one of those, you can probably get 4 lots of flowers out of it really if you cut it back. Our Persicaria again doing great. I think this Persicaria seems in a lot better condition than the other Persicaria I've just shown you. So this again, Persicarium plexicolis firetail, really, really nice Persicaria. I love it. Next to Rosa Sweet Honey. Now I'm happy with what's going on here. I really am. We're in October and just look at these lovely blooms awaiting to come out. I just love it. It's got a lovely scent. It really has. You can't beat it. If you're not growing this one, Rosa Sweet Honey, it really is sweet. It doesn't make for a good cut flower. So if you're thinking of, oh, I'll get this sweet honey, try it as a cut flower, it's not great. Within a few days, say 2 days, the smell, it's not great inside the house and it just all withers and it's not nice. But on the plant itself, on the bush itself, it looks amazing. My next one is Calamagrostis brachytrichia. Calamagrostis brachytrichia, and what's not to like about this? Just look at those flowers. They are gorgeous. and you just know how much seed they're going to produce when they finish flowering, and the seed's going to disperse. I just love it. It's a really nice one. I think out of between the Brachytricha and the Carl Forster, I really do prefer the Carl Forster, but that's just me. I just like that. It's much taller. It's a much taller grass. Looking great though, really nice. It's good to have lots of grasses. Now I can honestly tell you, I was somebody that never really liked grasses when I was younger. It's one of those things, you're talking about putting a grass in a garden. Well, there's grass on a lawn. Why would you want grasses in your garden? I didn't get it, okay? Paul always has got that and understood that style of planting. It was something that really I did finally get. The penny dropped after many years, and now I just couldn't be without them. You know, I'm constantly going out now. We're looking at new grasses and we think, oh, we could just bring that one back to the garden and bring this one back. And nasturtium, look at this one. I thought these were long gone, and then I noticed yesterday there's a nasturtium here just coming back up. I'm trying to move the geranium out of the way. Look, so these are the flowers of the nasturtium, and this is the foliage. I love nasturtiums, especially red and orange varieties. Really do love them. Absolutely fantastic. Sedum matrona. Very different to the traditional type sedum that you used to see in everybody's garden years ago. This is a really nice one. If you've not grown matrona before, you know, maybe this is something that you could consider. A wonderful succulent. Just look at those leaves. Lovely thick leaves, absolutely beautiful. Loved by the insects as well. So the bees and the butterflies absolutely adore them. Our sweet peas. Still absolutely divine. That scent is amazing. But you'll notice what we're trying to do now, and you might think, oh, what have you done to them? We've left them. They're grown in pots every year, and we do this as they start to grow. We leave them in the containers, place them on the ground, put compost around them, feed them, and we continually do feed them actually throughout the summer. But we grow them in pots because A, the slugs have further to climb up to get into them to try and nobble them. That's one reason, but the other reason is to save on root disturbance as well. We may as well place them out where they are in the garden so they're not being disturbed, because they do not like to be disturbed. Sweet peas, a lot of things don't, but certainly sweet peas don't. And then we can just leave them there. Now, this is what we're doing. This is why we've left it to go to rack and ruin, because these are our future, inside these pods are our future seeds. So these are going to be the seeds that we sow for next year. And throughout the entire set of plants, we have these seeds coming up all over the place. So we really do need, we've even got more growing. Look, there's loads. So we're going to collect all these, and this will be our seed for next year. So we have a good supply. Just look at those. So when they're ready, we will collect them. In the meantime, we're going to let the flowers finish. We're going to enjoy the scent, because it is still quite scented, especially with the sun being out today, it being so warm. It's really, really scented over here. So we're just going to leave them and let them do the thing. Calendulas. Now, if you remember, for those of you that have followed us, you will remember. If you've not followed us and you've not been watching our videos, you will probably not, obviously, for obvious reasons. Now, this was a raised bed that Paul created some time ago, and the idea was to grow vegetables in it, and we did, and quite successfully. Now, this year it's had the sweet peas along the back. We've had calendula running along the front, 3 different varieties of calendula, and tomatoes throughout the middle bit. Tomatoes work really well. We've enjoyed lots of lovely tomatoes this year. The calendulas, as you can see, have done amazingly. This is my favourite one out of all the calendulas. This is a variety called Indian Prince. If you've not grown this one before, give it a go. Indian Prince is my favourite one. I just like the name. I actually like the flowers. Look at that orange. That's so vibrant. It's like a burnt orange. It's really lovely. Now, what's going to happen with this entire area is, I can promise you now, it's going to be reverted back to its former glory. It will go back. It will literally be, we'll have some compost dug in, and there are some chard to go out. So some Swiss chard that will take the place of all these plants. So we're going to have lots of Swiss chard in there growing for us, lots of lovely Swiss chard that we can eat. I like the idea of having in various places just food in the garden, things that you can bring into the house, things that you can eat. It's so important, it really is. You know, you've got all this garden space, you may as well use it for some food, for some edibles, as well as for flowers as well. Now, lots of stuff going on along there. We'll sort all this out. There's so much to be done in the garden, but we've got lots of things in containers. I'd like to bring you over to, I was talking to you before about a low growing persicaria. I've mentioned this many times, but I'd like to mention it again because it really does spread quite well. This started off a small clump in this area here, and then we've ended up with it spreading along throughout. This one is Persicaria affinis superba. So Persicaria affinis superba. We keep getting it mixed up. I keep saying the wrong thing constantly. I keep saying it's Persicaria bistorta superba. It's not. It's Persicaria affinis. Now look at this. Absolutely gorgeous flowers. I love the way they turn from these beautiful pink blooms, and as they finished and go over, just before they turn really brown, they go to this lovely red. You can't be without this one. It's such a, you know, if you're just looking for something, a bit of a spreader really, a bit of a carpet spreader, because that's what it is really. It's just a small spreader. And I think that this one, Superba, is the one for you, definitely. Armerias, well and truly finished, but obviously next year, in the late spring, this will come up with lots of lovely pink flowers. I did a video about this one, Centranthus ruber. The video was in North Wales, and I was talking about the values of the plant. Now this is something that I would not be without in a garden. Centranthus ruber is a plant that will, if you keep deadheading, so what happens is you get the seed, it's seeds everywhere. Just look at that. These little seeds, they're just going to fly away. As soon as they're ready, they will literally just go whoosh and fly away. Look again, it's almost like dandelions when they go over and they just go, you know, you knock them and they just literally fly away into the air. Well, that's what this is like. Centranthus ruber is something that will grow in the tiniest of crevices or rocks. It will just grow anywhere. It's quite a strong plant. It likes the sun, doesn't like to be too wet. You know, obviously it just likes that sunny aspect, that wild and wonderful. It doesn't like to be mollycoddled. You don't need to do very much with it really, and it will take over if you let it. We don't, but we do love it, we do like it, and we do want it in the garden. So hence the reason what we do throughout the year, we've been deadheading this constantly. And when you deadhead this, so say, pretend we're still in summer now and we wanted this to keep going, we'd deadhead back to there. We wouldn't deadhead back to there because there's flowers, so we wouldn't take the stem back. We'd take it back to this point here. Then you'd get a shoot at that side, shoot at the other side with more flowers on. And that's what's happened, and that's the reason why it's kept going. If we just left it, as with any plant, if you just leave it, you don't do your deadheading, you think, you know, I want a garden with low maintenance, but I want lots of wonderful, you know, all these type of flowers in these perennials, these perennial flowers, you're not going to get it. You're not going to get the flowers to keep going throughout the entire season unless you're willing to come out and deadhead. That's the key. And deadheading is relaxing as well. So if it's not something that you really like doing, try and get into the flow of things, get into the rhythm, enjoy it, because it's amazing. Now I'm surprised about this one, but in a happy way. This one is Geranium nimbus, and a long-time favourite of ours, October, still flowers to come. Look at that. It was cut back quite a while ago because it had finished, it had gone over, all the foliage had started to look a little bit untidy, so we cut it back quite a while back, and look at it now, it's getting its flowers on, it's getting ready to flower. Absolutely love it. On the table here, I'm taking you round in a big circle. The table, everything is looking good. Dahlia is still flowering. That's my favourite one on the table. I must admit, I love that orange dahlia. I really do. What I like about this one is the dark foliage with the orange centre, you know, the orange flower itself. I just love that. As you know, probably know, red is my favourite colour. Lots of red going on here. This one is called zinnia, and we've got some zinnias in here, and they're doing amazingly still. Love that red. What's not to like about it? Absolutely love it. And this has provided us with so much interest from the house, because you can look out into the garden on a rainy day, you see this table of really vibrant colours and you think, wow, I can't wait to get out there. So it could be raining torrential rain, but you're still looking forward to getting back outside and being up close and personal with these amazing plants. It's a bit like Monty Don with his plants in the jewel garden, all these beautiful vibrant colours. I wouldn't be without them. I'm quite a vibrant person. I love vibrant colours. I need a lot of colour. It's great stimulation for me. But these tender salvias will have to come inside. So we will be bringing those in to protect them. Otherwise, you know, they're going to die if we leave them out. So these will come inside. With the dahlia, we're going to wait until it's basically finished and died back and the frost comes. And then what we'll do is we'll bring that in, and next year we'll keep the tuber and things, and next year that will be repotted again. And the zinnia is an annual, so that can literally be left because it's going to die. It's an annual, it only lasts for 1 year, so that's going to die, unfortunately. But the beautiful thing is we can always grow this one again. Now, let's see what's going on over here. I want to show you this antirrhinum. Really, really nice antirrhinum. Antirrhinums was something that my nan used to grow in her garden, and you know, they're something that are very special to me. But this one is a really nice variety. This is a variety called Black Prince, and it really does live up to its name with that lovely dark foliage and these beautiful sultry flowers. I love them, absolutely adore them. Erigerum carvinskianus, doing amazingly. This one is Erigerum carvinskianus, and absolutely amazing. Lovely for trailing, just at the edge of rockery, just to soften edges really, if you had that. Basically just to soften your edges on along a pathway or something like that. But a really nice plant. Lots of change going on in this corner. Lots of things going on. But I can show you something that we have done. If you remember, there was a tree here. Small tree. The stem used to come out onto the lawn, which made it quite difficult when you were cutting the lawn to get underneath and actually do a good job. That's had to come out to make way for, possibly, we're still deciding, we'll see how it goes, but we've got this wonderful old trusty friend of ours. This one is Viburnum tinus. Viburnum tinus is something that's great as a hedging plant, so perfect along a boundary to provide some screening. It's evergreen, has beautiful flowers on from say October, November right through to usually around May. And we've got a flower there just starting to appear. These are actually scented as well and great for the insects during the late part of the year and early spring as well. But they are fantastic, they're really lovely. Or winter really, when you get the odd bee coming out on a warm day, you know, they're going to go straight to this. And it's a, you know, perfect nectar source, beautiful flowers. What more can they want? And what more can we want? Because we're going to really enjoy it. You know, and the thing is, you can cut it to any shape that you want to as well. Do you know what I mean? Just give it a prune occasionally, and as long as you don't prune it just after it's finished flowering, that's the best time to do it, because otherwise you're going to interfere with. So many people do this as well. They'll cut things back just before, like at the last possible stage. So in other words, so say a forsythia, flowers first thing, so January, February, flowers going on there. You've got lovely yellow flowers on a forsythia, and then people will cut them back in October. And you're thinking, no, you're going to interfere with next year's flowering. It's going to be that in spring, there's going to be nothing, in winter, spring, there's going to be nothing there for you to enjoy. So don't ruin your flowers. Always look at when you're supposed to prune things, when you're supposed to cut things back. Now, Fuchsia magellanica, this is one I made a video about quite a long time ago now. Fuchsia magellanica is the traditional fuchsia that you used to see in everybody's garden many, many years ago, decades ago. So when we were little, I used to see this around in people's gardens a lot. It's not so common now, but it's a shame. Fuchsia magellanica has so much to offer, especially this time of year. So in October, when you're looking for that pop of colour in the garden, I like the way it arches over as well on these slender stems. You've got this arching habit. It's not something that's upright and columnar. It's quite almost like willowish in its ways, in its habit. And I think it really is valuable to the bees as well. The bees, you will find, gravitate to this. And I just think it's something that we should all be we should be bringing back these plants, not getting rid of them, making them obsolete. Because there's so many fuchsias that people do have now. I admit it, a lot of gardens have fuchsias in. But Fuchsia magellanica, I wonder. I don't see much of this around, and I'd like to see this coming back. I really would. It's a bit slow to start off in spring. Once it gets going during the early summer, then throughout the summer, then it comes into its own now at this time of year. Speaking of the tree that we've taken out, just look at this for a stump. Look at that. Didn't have much root on it. It's a piece of root that does need to come out, but it had sort of like a long piece of root that came to about where my trainers are there, and then that was it. So it's not got much going on really, hence the reason it was quite rickety. It's heavy, it's rickety, and it was just really getting in the way. I wonder if there's something we can do with that. We'll see, we'll find out. But Cosmos flowering beautifully. Oh, look at this one though. Now I always bring you to this because Steepa tenuissima, my favourite grass of all time. It looks like just this golden froth coming over. It's lovely, it's so lovely. I just love it. That is gorgeous. You can't beat Steepa tenuissima, I'm sorry. No matter how many grasses you have in a garden's nothing till it has Steepa tenuissima in my opinion. Before I show you around the corner, there is something else I'd like to show you. I've shown you Little Carlow, or Aster Little Carlow. Actually, Asters have changed the names now. I'm not going to try and say the name. Is it Brachytryphia? I'm not even going to say it. I'm wrong completely. Right, well, I'm not going to say it. End of story. They'll always be Asters to me. Okay, now, this one is a variety called Winston Churchill. I just love Winston Churchill. I love the name, but I also love these flowers. Gorgeous flowers. I remember when I was little on the main road around the corner here, I can see Mum and Dad's house from the back of our house, and literally on the main road when I was little, my mum used to have a blue variety of Aster that grew to a similar height as Winston Churchill actually does, and it always flowered every year beautifully in October time going into November. There's one problem: they can be prone to powdery mildew if you're not careful, so that's just something. I'm not sure about Winston Churchill with that, but I'm assuming a lot of them do, don't they? But the one that my mum had was definitely, you know, every year you'd end up just with this powdery mildew running up, and then these flowers, a few leaves, bit of foliage, and then some flowers on top. So it wasn't great. The sun's in my eyes, by the way, in case you're wondering why I'm squinting. I want to take you somewhere now really special. Anemones. Anemones. It's like that thing, isn't it? You're a friend of an anemone. I'm an anemone. Right, look at this. They are gorgeous. Anemones are something that add so much interest again this time of year. Perfect, absolutely perfect plant to grow. So easy to grow as well. And these were a bit slow to start off with because Paul redeveloped this area a number of months back, and it was all a bit slow to take off, but it's really coming into its own now. And the anemones there are doing amazingly. They're so happy. They really are. And they're just great. They add so much cheer. There's lots of pink varieties that you can get, but I really love white anemones, and this variety really does do it for me. There's also another fuchsia in the garden down here. It's got lovely little white flowers on. You can just about make them out there. It's just through there, and you can just about see them. Really beautiful one. There's 3 placed in there, and these ones are fuchsia hawk's head, and they are a lovely variety and cheery again with it being white at this time of year. They really are nice. Now an unusual persicaria going on here. Look at this for persicaria. That is so strange, isn't it? Look at that, it's lovely. Absolutely gorgeous variety, look at that. Look at the flowers, very delicate, very subtle, but still lovely. And enjoying this space in the garden. I've alpine strawberries coming back and growing strong here, although I think we're past time for them now, don't you? We have got one on there, it's not fully ripened. I was hoping to have something that I could eat, and I have got something. Oh, it's a bit squishy. I'm not going to try that one. No, it's a shame. I was looking forward to a little snack then. That'd have been really nice. Oh, lovely dahlia. Now, this erigerum is a one called Lavender Lady. And the reason for that, as you can see, it is a lavender colour. Really nice colour. Absolutely gorgeous. very cheery, quite different to the usual varieties that you see around. The cosmos here, we keep deadheading, the flowers keep appearing, and that's because, you know, we're enjoying the fact that the plants are still wanting to flower. We've got lots of seed of this anyway, so we're not collecting it for seed. We tend to be only leaving the flower heads on and not deadheading at the minute for things like the sweet peas where we're after the seeds from them. But the cosmos here is doing great. I love the way it's at both sides as well in these two pots that are actually identical as well. It's really good. Look at the Verbena bonariensis. Wow. And you know, interestingly enough, not many people are aware, but verbena has a very slight scent to it. And I love the scent of it. Absolutely gorgeous. Again, repetition. Notice the steeper tenuissima at both sides. We've got Verbena bonariensis going on at both sides. We've got the cosmos at both sides. Keep that repetition going. It's really important in garden design that you have repetition in a garden. You do not want 1,000 different plants in your garden and just have one small clump of each plant. It just looks disjointed. You do need to try and bring your plants throughout the garden, draw the eye through the garden, and that's the key. Now, I do want to show you something. More cosmos over here. So our cosmos, I complained and said how it's not done very well this year and things haven't been great for it, but things did get better. After last month we had a lot more flowers on here. There's still a lot more to come, and just look how beautiful it looks. It's a really, really nice one, this one. It's called Double Click Cranberries, and it is quite an unusual one. If you want to know whether I'm going to be growing this one again or whether we will be, probably not. There are that many varieties out there. It's nice to try something different each year. You wouldn't want the garden to look the same every year. Garden is like life. It's a series of chapters in a book. You would not want to keep reliving the same chapter over and over again. You want to move on, do something different. And it's the same with plants. You know, we can fill these pots with something very different, and that's great. But I do like this one, and we are enjoying it for the rest of the season. Now, I would like to end this garden tour here. Thank you so much for watching. It's been an absolute pleasure showing you around on this sunny day. Please drop any comments in the comments box below. Also click the like button, and if you have social media accounts, please feel free to share our videos on social media to let other people see our message, see our passion, and just generally come and take a look at the garden, because that's what we want. We want as many people to see the garden as possible. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, and we will definitely see you on the next one.